Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Sarvajitacharya Asatara Shisham Isi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Sarvajitacharya Asatara Shisham His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki All glories to Assembled Lord. All glories to Assembled Lord. All glories to Assembled Lord. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. So welcome to ISKCON Detroit, Devasadan Mandir, Srimad Bhagavatam class, morning class. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 4, text 13. Before we'll start, we'll say prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayan Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayudirye. Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu. Nityam Bhagavata Se. Bhagavati Uttama Shloke. Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki. Hare Krishna. The bookmark is on. So we're reading Canto 1, Chapter 4. Chapter 4 is the appearance of Sri Narada Muni. Text 13. Verse. Tat sarvam na samachakshva. Tat sarvam na samachakshva. Prashtad iha kinchana. Prishto yadiha kinchana. Manye tvam vishaye vacham. Manye tvam vishaye vacham. Snantam yatra chandrasat. Snantam yatra chandrasat. Tat sarvam na samachakshva. Tat sarvam na samachakshva. Prashto yad iha kinchana. Prishto yad iha kinchana. Manye tvam vishaye vacham. Manye tvam vishaye vacham. Snantam yatra chandrasat. Snantam yatra chandrasat. Tat sarvam na samachakshva. Tat sarvam na samachakshva. Prasto yad iha kinchaya. Prishto yad iha kinchana. Manye tvam vishaye vacham. Manye tvam vishaye vacham. Snantam yatra chandrasat. Snantam yatra chandrasat. Anyone would like to repeat? Tat sarvam na samachakshva. Tat sarvam na samachakshva. Prishto yadiha kinchana. Prishto yadiha kinchana. Manye tvam vishaye vacham. Manye tvam vishaye vacham. Snatam anyatra chandrasat. Snatam anyatra chandrasat.
Tat sarvam na samachakshva.
Tat sarvam na samachakshva.
Prashto yad iha kinchana.
Prishto yad iha kinchana.
Manye tvam vishaye vacham.
Manye tvam vishaye vacham.
Snatam anyatra chandrasat.
Snantam anyatra chandrasat. Would you like to try? Okay. Word for word. Tat. That. Sarvam.
Sarvam.
All.
All.
Na.
not
unto us,
unto us,
samachakshva, clearly explain, prista, questioned, yat iha, herein, kinchana, all that, manye, we think, tvam, you, vishe, in all subjects, vacham, meaning of words, snatam, fully acquainted, anyata, except, chandrasat, portions of the Vedas. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. We know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects, except portions of the Vedas, and thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you. Please repeat. We know that you are an expert in the meaning of all subjects, except some portions of the Vedas, and thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you. Purport. The difference between the Vedas and the Puranas is like that between the Brahmanas and the Abhirajakaras. The Brahmanas are meant to administer some fruitive sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas, but the Abhirajakacharyas, or learned preachers, are meant to disseminate transcendental knowledge to one and all. As the Abhirajakacharyas are not always experts in pronouncing the Vedic mantras, which are practiced systematically by accent and meter by the Brahmanas, who are meant for administering Vedic rites. Yet it should not be considered that the Brahmanas are more important than the itinerant preachers. They are one and different simultaneously because they are meant for the same end in different ways. There is no difference also between the Vedic mantras and what is explained in the Puranas and Itihas. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, it is mentioned in the Madhyadina Shruti that all the Vedas, namely the Sama, Atharva, Rig, Puranas, and Itihasas, Upanishads, etc., are emanations from the breathing of the Supreme Being. The only difference is that the Vedic mantras are mostly begun with prana omkara, and it requires some training to practice the metric pronunciation of the Vedic mantras. But that does not mean that the Srimad Bhagavatam is of less importance than the Vedic mantras. On the contrary, it is the ripened fruit of all the Vedas, as stated before. Besides that, the most perfectly liberated soul, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, is absorbed in the studies of the Bhagavatam, although he is already realized. Srila Sutta Goswami is following his footsteps, and therefore his position is not the least less important because he was not expert in chanting Vedic mantras with metric precision, which depends more on practice than actual realization. Realization is more important than parrot-like chanting. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, sorry. That said it all. No need to say anything else. Let's not involve ourselves in parrot-like chanting. All right. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhut Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijasaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Parnamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Te Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatade Shatane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So, reading the translation one more time. Know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects, except some portions of the Vedas, and thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you. Yes.
Can you tell me who's speaking and who's speaking to?
Yeah,
Sorry.
so this is the conversation that's taking place between Sutta Goswami and the sages at this time. They have gathered. So multiple conversations happen in Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So Shuka Dev Goswami, he spoke to Parikshit Maharaj because Parikshit Maharaj was going to leave his body in 7 days' time, and he wanted to know what is best, what he should do. You know, when someone is approaching death, what do they do? And so they hear, right? And so Shuka Dev Goswami spoke the Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. Then the sages wanted to know from Sutta Goswami what was spoken during that time. So they had all gathered together and had asked Sutta Goswami to please explain, you know, this conversation between Shukadev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So this is the next level of conversation that's taking place.
He's getting the Rishi.
The Rishis, yes,
Right,
sorry.
right, right.
Rishi sages.
Sutta Goswami.
Sutta Goswami.
Sutta Goswami.
So one is S-U-K and one is S-U-T.
Okay.
Okay, so Sukha and Sutta. Yeah. So yeah, no problem. I know it gets. There's even more conversations that will come up soon. So just more. So this is actually one of my very favorite verses and very inspiring to me. I have absolutely no qualification here and to even read this and to recite anything or speak, period, and stuff. But by mercy and just pure love of Srila Prabhupada, we have received this Srimad Bhagavatam. He brought it over by such treacherous things he had to go through. But he brought this knowledge over. These Vedic texts, we would not have this in English so that we can read and understand it if it wasn't for Srila Prabhupada. We would not be able to. And just, even if we don't understand all the Vedas, because there's so many Vedas, it can fill entire huge rooms and so forth. There's so much out there. But even if we don't understand all of it, this verse gives us hope, in my opinion, in that we may not be experts, but if we follow the instructions and we hear from the Pravyavachakacharyas, that we have ability to understand what is the true answers for the questions of life. So that's what we're going to kind of talk today. So in my research of the particular verse, I came across a lecture by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, and he spoke very wonderfully on this particular verse. And I also appreciate Srila Prabhupada He gave us Bhagavad Gita, as it is, right? In such easy to understand language by his purports and so forth and translation. Same thing with the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I don't know about you, but anytime we hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, there's so many related things in Bhagavad Gita, and from Bhagavad Gita, there's so many related things in Srimad Bhagavatam. So, for this person, Bhagavad Gita, in 15:15, Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham ridhi sannivisto matir smrta jnanam apohanam cha vedas cha sarver aham eva vedyo matakrit vedivid eva chaham. So Krishna is telling us that by all the Vedas, I am to be known. He is the compiler of all the Vedas, right? It's non-different than Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam is non-different than Krishna. So Vedanta means actually conclusion of all knowledge, right? That absolute truth, the all knowledge. And the first verse of the Vedas, Vedanta Sutra is Tattva Brahma Jigya. So this human life that we have, okay, this human life is meant to realize the absolute truth. And the absolute truth is from whom everything emanates. Okay, so who is this absolute truth? Because everything comes from this absolute truth. And that is what we realize with this Vedas. Right? So in Bhagavad Gita 10:8, it says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. So Krishna here is telling us, I am the source of all spiritual and material world. He's the source. Comes separate from him. Everything comes from him. Okay? So everything emanates from me, meaning Krishna. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service. By this knowledge, one engages in devotional service and worships me with all their hearts. So much information, so much answers to this. He says that as a learned scholar, he says that a learned scholar who has studied this perfectly and has information from authorities like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We just passed this Gaur Purnima, huge Gaur Purnima festival, very full time, right? So if we understand this information from Lord Chaitanya, who knows how to apply these teachings, right? Because one thing to maybe know the mantras and the Vedas and stuff, but to apply these, can understand Krishna is the origin of everything in both the material and spiritual worlds. And because he knows perfectly, he becomes fixed in devotional service. So this knowledge that we receive from Vedas is to bring us to this point of devotion. Right? So Krishna who knows, or one who knows Krishna, who has surrendered his life to Krishna, is perfectly equipped to answer all of these questions. Right? So this is the qualification. One who knows Krishna and who has surrendered his life to Krishna is equipped to answer these questions about Krishna for the perfection of our life. So this is what we're looking for. And the Vedas mainly, when we read the Vedas, there's so many out there, Puranas, Itihas, right, mentioned in the verse, and so forth. They mainly deal with materialistic activities, right? They mainly deal with how to the demigods, what to do in different, to obtain from materialistic situations, you know, but all of them slowly come together to uplift our consciousness, right? If you study the Vedas, you try to upgrade your consciousness so that we can be free of these modes of material nature, right? We talked about modes of material nature, the passion, ignorance, and goodness. They're very binding. So how to break free? So all this information about worship and so forth are given in these Vedas to break free from this bondage and finally surrender to the supreme, the absolute truth, the supreme personality of God. So all these various little steps, instructions, everything is given to us in the Vedas with such detail and so much, right? So Krishna tells Arjuna, though, do not be concerned about lower Vedic literatures, right? Just be established in the true nature of the soul. Jivare Nitya Krishna. The true nature of the soul is to be the servant of Krishna. Okay? And the conclusion is given to us in Bhagavad Gita. This is not just made up. This is not, let's just be servants of Krishna. Like, it didn't come from anywhere. It is because Krishna is telling us, step by step, how to surrender unto him. And in Bhagavad Gita 1866, it says, Sarva dharma parityaja mamekam sharvaram vraja aham toam sarva papyo mokshayami masuchaha. So abandon all varieties of religion. So Krishna has given us the Vedas. He's the source of the Vedas. He's given all of these things, the knowledge of how to worship the demigods, everything. But then he says, abandon religion, all varieties of religion, right? And just surrender unto me. So the purpose of all of this is to surrender unto Krishna. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions, right? So these three modes of material nature, he can deliver us from them. He's the only one who can deliver us and stuff. Do not fear. Krishna is telling us, don't worry. Trust me. Have faith in me. Surrender to me. I will take this from you, right? And give, you have to surrender unto me, and he will liberate us from all these modes of material natures. He will take us back to his abode. He will be with us, right? We just have to have that faith. So, and how do we surrender to Krishna? Also given in Bhagavad Gita, right? And stuff. And Krishna clearly says, 1865, Manmana bhava matbhakto mam yaji mam namaskuru mam evesheshyate pratijane priyosime. So always think of me. Become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. Without fail. Krishna is saying, just do these little things and you will come to me without fail.
What's that verse?
1865. Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you.
I promise you this because you're my very dear friend.
What is that chapter called? 18th chapter.
The 18th chapter is the conclusion.
Oh.
The conclusion chapter, yeah. So, Krishna, so kind. He considers us our dear friend, right? We just follow these 4 instructions that from him, he will take us back. And he promises this. This is a promise from the Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the one who's created all of this material and spiritual worlds, the one who controls everything, who's a proprietor of everything. He's our friend, right? And he's promising us. When a dear friend promises you something, how special is that, right? So he's saying, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer your homage unto me, and you will come to me without fail. This is a promise of Krishna. And why? Because you're his dear friend. You're his dear friend. You're his dear friend. You're his dear friend. And so forth. So, in Bhagavatam, we hear many stories. There are many examples. And Kapila Deva, his mother, Devahuti, that of all the injunctions, because there's so many instructions, injunctions, all of the scriptures, right? All the scriptures, we are meant to fulfill 2 instructions. Krishna knows, at least for me, my intelligence is not good. He gives us very clear instructions, and he gives very little, not too many instructions, because I won't be able to follow too many. And so 2 instructions. So let's see if I can even follow. But if one can follow these 2 instructions, right, his life is perfect. So he is, and whoever follows these 2 instructions is considered to be the greatest knower of the Vedantas. So by these 2 instructions, you know all the Vedas. You don't have to read everything. You don't have to study everything. You don't even have enough time in your life span to study everything. So, to remember Krishna, and never forget Krishna. These are the two instructions. That's all we need to do, is to always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Such a beautiful verse this is.
And so easy.
What is it?
And so easy.
And so easy. And so easy,
Just
right?
the name.
Yes. So Rupa Goswami explains what the process is, you know. Also in Nectar of It comes that to accept what is favorable for Krishna and whatever pleases Krishna, right? That is what we will accept, and reject whatever is unfavorable to Krishna. What does not please Krishna, we don't get involved with that. That's it, right? Very simple. So remember Krishna, accept what is favorable to Krishna, right? And never forget Krishna. And we reject whatever is unfavorable, whatever doesn't please Krishna. That is what we do. That's what were our instructions.
And even that instruction is redundant for us. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. It's very redundant, but our brains need that redundancy.
Yes. And it's also, with every instruction, there's always given what to do and what not to do. That is an actually really good instruction. If you're supposed to get an instruction, here are the things you're supposed to do, and here are the things you're not supposed to do. It's complete, right? So this is a complete instruction that is given to us. And this is the essence of Sanatana Dharma. This is the essence of what we practice. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained that this Vedic literature deals with 3 subjects. So here coming to another. So again, passing such a blissful Gaur Purnima celebration. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also gave us instruction. How many did he give us?
8.
8. Just 8. So we have these 2 from Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us 8. Don't need many instructions. So, in the 8 instructions. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains to us that these Vedas, this Vedic literature, deals with 3 subjects. And again, these 3 subjects we hear in Bhagavad Gita, as well as Bhagavatam, and this is the point of the Vedas. One is Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. So these are the 3 concepts. So Sambandha is to understand what is one's relationship with Krishna. What is my relationship with Krishna? Who am I? I'm not this material body, right? Lesson number in Bhagavad Gita. You are not this body, you are spirit soul. So this is similar, like in the sense that we have to understand what is my relationship to Krishna. Who am I? I am a spirit soul. I'm not this material body. Not these designations, right? Man, woman, old, young, high caste, low class, I'm American, I'm Russian, I'm this, I'm that, right? These are all bodily designations. It's just skin deep, okay? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains what is true identity is, what is our true identity and our true aspirations as a devotee. And it's just that I am an eternal servant of a servant of a servant of Krishna, right? That is what my true identity is. This should be what understanding is, that we are not this body, we are servants of Krishna. So it's very simple, right? When it comes to Sambandha, we are not this body, we are servants of Krishna. That is our relationship. Then there's Abhideya. Abhideya is, now that we know this, what our position is, right? Let us engage in Krishna's service through the process of devotional service. If I know I'm a servant of Krishna, what is my duty? What am I supposed to do? I am supposed to serve Krishna, right? So this process, and how? By the process of devotional service. How do we serve Krishna, right? What is this? So, and it doesn't matter what level we're at, right? So sometimes we talk about, out of humility, I'm such a lonely servant, or I am such a, or there's preachers, there's cooks, there's pujaris, there's so many. It doesn't matter what level you're at, right? Even a squirrel or a spider can serve Krishna. We hear in the Ramayana, right? Monkeys, They built that bridge to Lanka to help save Sita Devi, right? Even the squirrel participated in that service, right? Yes, and brought little pebbles. But that service wasn't any less than the monkeys bringing the big boulders, right? So Lord Ram teaches us that. So it doesn't matter what level we are. Engaging the mind and the senses in activities that are existence is what we're trying to do, right? And stuff. So the mind and senses are engaged in so many material and fruitive activities. We see this world. Everyone is running around on that wheel of, and stuff, working to get some little bit, and then working again to get a little bit of pleasure, this temporary existence, on and on and on. So all of these activities, these real fruitive activities, they cause bondage, right? We know this from the three modes of material nature. So to free ourselves from this bondage, we engage ourselves in the service of the Lord, who can bring us to this point of liberation, as we heard with Gita, and free us from this entanglement. And we do this by following 9 processes of devotional service. So this is also given to us in Bhagavatam. It'll come in the story of Prahlad Maharaj when we read about it. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevayam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam. Okay? In the beginning of Bhagavatam, when we were reading in the first chapters of this first canto, Shravanam and Kirtanam came up many times. Hearing and chanting. These are the first 2 devotional processes. And these are actually the very important, and this is how we start our devotional life too, in devotional services. Right? To become purified, we have to hear. Right? Hear. If we don't hear, how are we going to know? And if we don't know, how are we going to surrender? So, hearing, and hearing with submissiveness, being willing to hear, not to be argumentative in hearing, like always trying to, a healthy debate is great, to understand, but it should be in a submissive way. So, hearing and chanting of these holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. These holy names gradually give us this pure love of God. It awakens in our heart. It purifies our heart. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that in the instructions of the Shashastakam, right? To cleanse the mirror of the heart is the Sankirtan movement. So, when we act on the platform and surrender and through this love, spontaneous devotion will develop, right? As we surrender, as we do devotional service, this spontaneous love and devotion will start developing within our heart. And this is called prayojana, or the next level. So prayojana is the real goal of all the Vedas. So we had Vandana, which is our relationship. Who am I? I'm a Krishna. When we know this, we have come to the stage of Abhideya. Abhideya, we know that we are a servant of Krishna, so what do? I participate in devotional service, cleansing of the heart, so forth. And when we cleanse our heart, what happens? We awaken the spontaneous love, the spontaneous devotion to the Lord. This is prayojana. The real goal of the Vedas is to have the spontaneous love for Krishna. If we look at the gopis, did they know the Vedas? Did they study anything? No. But they had such spontaneous love and devotion for Krishna. They don't question anything. If it pleases Krishna, done. Right? The story of when Krishna had a headache and Narada Muni was going around. He went to everybody to try to get the medicine for Krishna's headache. And Krishna said, what was the medicine? The dust of my devotees' feet. Was anyone ready to give? No. Brahma didn't give, Shiva didn't give. No one was ready to give, right? They're all like, oh, if we get the dust of our lotus feet, we will go to hell, right? They were so worried about that. Who gave without question? It was the gopis. Oh my God, my Krishna has a headache. Oh my God, what can we do? How can we fix it, right? Immediately, take the dust, take as much dust, scraping all the dust off, right? They didn't care. They didn't care what happens to them. They just cared about Krishna. So much love, right? Selfless love. So this is Prayojana, and this is the goal of the Vedas. Why do we have to know all of this stuff, right? It's to awaken spontaneous love in our heart so that we can just always remember Krishna, never forget him, please Krishna in everything, and fully surrender unto him, right? So again, one who understands the goal of this Vedas, this is the goal of the Vedas, and who understands even these sections, you know, this is the ultimate goal. He can answer all the questions, right, that's necessary for us to understand to perfect this life. So in this particular verse, it says that we know you're the expert in the meaning of all subjects, except some portions of the Vedas. So even they're saying, like, you know you're an expert, even though you don't know all Vedas, right? Why are you an expert? Because you know what the real goal of the Vedas is, and that is to surrender unto Krishna, is to please Krishna, right? And that is what the perfection is. And this is Prayojana. So, Sambandhana, Abhideya, Prayojana. Clear as mud?
They're in the what's the book? They're in the
Yes.
the Rath Yatra book.
Yes.
Yes, they are. All three of them.
Yes. So there's a story too, a nice story. So lost a page. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his mother, Sachimata, is going to worship this I'm sorry, let me back up for a second. I'm losing my note, sorry. So yes, okay, the Vedas. This is the goal, Prayojana, that one who understands this goal understands that we are servant of Krishna and that we have to serve Krishna through devotional activities. So you may not know, the Vedas offer all kinds of different processes. So does the Pravicaracharyas, they know all of these things, right, that we've discussed and stuff. They may not know what the process is, go, how you have to go to Goddess Gully and do some proper mantra. That's how you can take goat meat and all that stuff. So these are all the Vedas have all kinds of stuff like that. And so this is our grade of human existence. We don't need to know all of these such things. Such a person may not know these Pravakacharyas. They may not know the intricacies of all these Vedic mantras, the pronunciations. They may not know all the mantras for various samskaras that we have to go through in life and so forth. But this is not necessary, actually. They're not required to know all of this stuff. One simply has to know one great mantra that has prescribed to us for all living beings in order for us to come out of this age of Kali and to preach this, and that is the Maha Mantra, right? You don't need to know any other mantra, just the Maha Mantra. Again, simple instructions. And what is the Maha Mantra? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This mantra is so powerful, right? If we learn this mantra, if we teach this mantra to anyone, and then they become a devotee, and they follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas, they can also answer all of these questions of life. So this mantra is so powerful. It cleanses our heart so that we know what is the goal of all the Vedas. So Sutta Goswami explains to the sages, so this is Sutta Goswami, with the T, explains to the sages that, your questions were all relevant. questions that the sages were asking, the rishis were asking, because your questions were regarding Krishna and to know about Krishna, therefore anyone who hears these questions, so all these questions that are given to us in Bhagavatam, they're relevant because they are about Krishna. And hear the answers to these questions, we will also attain the ultimate welfare of life, right? This pure devotional service. So all of these questions that these sages are asking, Sutta Goswami, what was asked of Sukha Goswami, they're all very much relevant and they're very important because they're the ones that will give us what is this pure devotional service. And that's what Srimad Bhagavatam deals with. Srimad Bhagavatam may not have all the, Vedic mantras and stuff like that that were given, but it deals with unalloyed devotional service to the Lord, right? And that is the goal. That is part of getting to our goal. So, and we can see this, so in the story, so there was a Brahmana in Sri Ranga, and his spiritual master had assigned him to read Bhagavad Gita on a daily basis, okay? So he was, out of his humble obedience to his spiritual master, he was reading. Now, he could not pronounce anything correctly, right? He didn't even know what he was reading. In fact, sometimes he didn't even know upside down or inside out or what and stuff. So, but he was lovingly serving his guru every day. He would pick up the Gita and he would try to read it. And he always remembered the beautiful form of Krishna. Shyam Sundar was reading. And if you notice, on every Bhagavad Gita, we see the picture of Krishna, right? And we can see the beautiful form of Krishna. And so he was remembering this divine form of Krishna and so forth. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, other Brahmanas of him, what is he doing? He doesn't know, he can't read a single mantra, he's not even reading it properly, he has no idea what he's doing. They would make fun of him. Okay. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of all the Brahmanas, selected him as authority because he understood the conclusion of the Vedas. Right? He had such love for Krishna, and that is what we're trying to develop. This love for Krishna. And he had that. Whether he knew the Vedas, whether he understood what he was reading or not, he had developed this love for Krishna. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this principle from the very childhood. There's another story in which Lochan Das Thakur, that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a little boy, he was known as Nimai, right? In Navadvip, when he was growing up, he was known as Nimai. And as children, he would be playing with his friends, and they would race back and forth to the bank of the Ganges and so forth. And so, as a small boy, right, they do all kinds of activities and stuff like that. So Sachimata, his mother, had decided that she wanted to do a puja, and that she was going to do a puja to goddess Shasti. And in Bengali, this means she's the goddess who protects all little children. So as a mother, she was like, I want to protect my little Nimai. I'm going to go and offer prayers to this goddess and do an offering. So she makes this offering of all these different sweets, like a plate of sweets. And she's covered it with her sari so that no one can see the sweets. And so she's walking on the path, going to the place where to do this puja. And in the path comes Nimai. He blocks her way and says, "Mom, where are you going? Where are you going? What's in the plate?" And so Nimai is asking. And she's like, "Oh, I'm going to go worship goddess Shasti, and I'm going to do an offering of all these sweets and for your protection. And so I want you to be free of all the suffering, and I want you to live forever." Of course, mother's prayers, right? And stuff. So, Nimai actually got very upset. He's like, "Mother, you don't understand. What is this? Why are you going over there? Why are you trying to do this puja? My suffering is right now. like little kids, little tantrums. Right now, my stomach is burning. I'm starving. Give me food, right? Like, you don't understand. If you want to clear my sufferings, give me food, right? So he grabs the plate and the offerings and eats all the sweets. And his mom is like, oh my God, shocked. What are you doing? You're disrespecting the goddess, Shasti, this is such an offense. You can't eat the sweets like this and stuff. So, but then Nimai spoke even more strongly. He's like, Mother, I'm afraid you don't understand, right? Because I'm the cause of all causes. Who's Lord Chaitanya? He's none different than Krishna, right? I am the cause of all causes. No one is superior to me, right? So he's teaching his mother the lesson, right? She doesn't see him as Krishna always.
This is in Chaitanya?
In the Bhagavatam, or Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Bhagavatam.
This is Bhagavatam?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Bhagavatam, the story,
Bhagavatam.
the childhood stories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Okay.
So no one is superior to me, he's saying. He's saying to his mother that if you water the branch of a tree, right, the tree becomes satisfied. Water the roots, not the branches, the roots of the tree, then all the branches of the tree become satisfied. If you put food into the stomach, the rest of the body becomes nourished, right? Like this, if you serve me, then all demigods would be satisfied. We hear this. So he gave this lesson to Sachi Mata, his own mother, and stuff. She went and finished the puja with whatever remnants she had and then went home, but she understood that Krishna is the source of all, right? That to satisfy Krishna, everyone else would be satisfied. So no need to follow so many of these rituals. We hear about so many pujas. There's endless numbers of pujas you can do and stuff. But to satisfy Krishna is the ultimate goal. And not required to do all of these pujas. If we just serve Krishna, we can satisfy all of the demigods and fulfill our obligations, not only to demigods, but to our ancestors, to the devotees. Just if we serve Krishna nicely, everyone will become satisfied. Right? So this verse gives us such hope. Srila Prabhupada has given us access, and he's given us this ripened fruit of the Vedas, right? We don't have enough years in our lives to study the Vedas, to do all these pujas, to do these rituals and everything, but yet we can obtain the goal of life in this human birth, which is very rare, just by chanting of the holy names of the Lord. By chanting, by following the instructions of the previous acharyas, by coming to the temple, taking nice prasadam, associating with devotees, all of these things can be attained, right? It's not so difficult. It's a very easy process. We make it difficult because of our anarthas.
Okay.
Right? So, chant the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. This one mantra can give us everything that we need in life. And it can take us back home to Godhead, right? And Krishna has promised, if we remember him, we never forget him, if we worship him, and so forth, then he will take us back without fail, right? He's our dear friend, he's our dear father, and so forth. So just serve him and take to this process of devotional service, and we can go back home, back to Godhead. So, thank you so much for your patience today. I think this is such a beautiful verse of Bhagavatam, and continue reading and studying Bhagavatam. It's all that we need to do. And stuff. So thank you so much. Please forgive me if I misstated anything. If anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to do so at this time. Hare Krishna. This verse is very beautiful. In the very last part, We talk about realization is more important than prayer like chanting. So by this process of chanting Hare Krishna, may you all receive many, many realizations in the service of Krishna. So, thank you. Hare Krishna. We will continue with 14.